Hello everyone, thanks a lot for coming. Thanks a lot to Signal Sounds for putting this in place. So I'm Francois, I work at Shakmat. I'm running the company. I'm here with Nico, who is also working here at Shakmat. We will do a small talk, workshop, I don't know exactly what to call it. I will play a piece of music first, maybe it's the most important thing as we buying synthesizers and making synthesizers to make music with. And then we will have a quick talk about how I perform live with modules and maybe going through some of our modules, maybe the Ballista Blast, which is like freshly released. I think it's on its way to the shop here, like in a truck somewhere. So let's go ahead and I hope you will enjoy. Thank you very much. I propose to do a quick turnaround of the system now and explaining what's happening and how I'm using each voice in the system. So I got this Shakmat system, and I got this Mackie mixer and a couple of pedals which are accents for the mixer. So it's very basic. It's a reverb, a delay, like a big hole and a tape delay. So yeah, let's go through all the tracks I got now. So we have first a kick. Yeah, it's in a delay now. So let's take a simple pattern. So it's a battering ram, which some of you might know it. It's a kick drum we developed with a guy called Mark Nostromo, with a developer, like a DSP developer. He's working for Ableton Live. He's responsible for several designs at Ableton, like the drum bus or the new Drift plugin, like a virtual analog plugin. He came to HQ one day saying, I did this little software, and a friend of him allowed him to put this into a DAISY, and he has this prototype module to show us that I tried it in my studio one day. I said, wow, Mark, what have you done? You created a monster, I think. So this kick drum is a very hands-on kick drum. What Mark is very good at is able to create a device. So let's maybe stop this modulation. Let's store this first. Okay, it's stored. It's a module where you can do almost like anything. I'm just turning randomly the potentiometer. And it's very good to give a module that gives a sweet spot every time. And that's why I really enjoyed when he showed the battering ram. It was a total go for us to work with him doing this. So you have a basic controller drive, a decay, two types of drives. So it can be always in between an 808 and 909. It's I think it's based on a CR78, which is a very old and a bit cheesy kick this drum machine had. But he took the schematic and adapted it in the code and extract some more cool features and parameters from what he did there. Next we have a snare drum. So this snare drum is not released yet. We are launching the production, I think in a couple of weeks. It will be released just after Super Bowls. So it's a multi-engine snare module where we have like simple analog. Simple analog snare, and then we got several models. Blend is very close from analog but we're adding like more analog techniques to make it realistic. So it got like so basic analog snare like the TR 808, 909. It's a couple of signs and noise together. The blend ID is you're gonna add what we call a ring after, so it's a resonance of the body of the snare. So it's simply, if you want to try it at home and synthesize this by yourself, it's like kind of FM ring modulation. You add, and it's coming after the body, the main sign, which is a signal. Then we get a physical modeling. So it's not the final algorithm, by the way. Then we get a FM algorithm, same thing, it's still in work in process. It's a noise by FM plus a couple of operators. And then we have a granular engine. We sample different, we broke a lot of stuff at Shakmat HQ to just create those granularized samples. This module has a lot of other modules of what we call our instrument line. So these modules which are doing basically one instrument, one thing. So the kick, the snare, the hi-hat, and then the Ballista Blast we will see later. Just the battering ram does not have like the randomization feature I'm going to talk about now. But all those modules have randomizer, so you can randomize any parameter. So let's take maybe another algorithm. Yeah, it works with a physical one, for example. So I'm randomizing decay a lot now. Let's randomize the timbre parameter, the color parameter, and the pitch parameter. So you can go from humanizing stuff to really IDM result. So that was the idea, to bring a bit of life to the percussions or to be able to create very unstable elements in your music. Next one, I have a couple of archers rig, which I use totally differently. So the first one is a pretty standard hi-hat. So we have a close and open hi-hat. So the hi-hat is based on a mixed digital analog architecture, like a digital noise source, and can emulate a lot of digital source you can find in different drum machines, like the classic squares you find in an 808 and white noise with some processing. You have an effect you can choose to put on the source, like a bitrate reducer or comb filter and stuff like that. And then you got a whole analog chain with distortion filters, because there are two different types of filters in it, like in serial. And as in the Lancer's Lash, so as in the snare module, you also have a randomizer feature. And that's what I use more in the other voice. And for example, it's a preset which is fully randomized. So it can go to IDM or more like stable randomizing stuff. And this is something I use a lot in my music. I like the idea to have stable elements and then to have things that can be used as something you send in a delay and produce like random materials to give life to your music. Those drum modules, I'm sequencing them with this block of module here. So this is a clock source with many different filters, like accent output, what we work the most, and I don't use a lot of my music, it's always the thing. It's a groove also generator, so it works on micro timing with several micro timing pattern. So you can think about classic swing you find in different drum machines, but also more evolved swing, like you could think in like Ableton Live, where you have this kind of concept of groove. Then I got the 4-brick rook. 4-brick rook is a module where you can simply play your simple idea to do this. It can be quantized, unquantized. And what's interesting, I think, with this module, you have this length shift feature, which simply allows to set a length and also shift. But you have to think of the shift like you're in a sampler, when you're gonna slice a sequence, and you can choose which slice of the sequence you want. So, for example, like if I start from this 32-step sequence, I can go to 4 steps and then choose which 4-step sequence I want to use. So I think that's a basic idea. And you can record your own table inside and then recall them, and you have this table, you have access to 16 multiplied by 8 time patterns. And what I really like, and I usually don't like in the drum machine, that you cannot switch from the sequence instantly. You always need to go to the end of a sequence to go to the next sequence, which is nice to do structures, but it's not very good to make breaks, for example. So you can think it's at a certain point when I was playing. So let's take a 16-step sequence. I always have a very simple sequence at the beginning, like I want to calm down everything, and if I want to do a roll or to go crazy at the end of sets, I can do this as well. So it's a very good tool to make variation in your drums if you want to have more like a it's not good maybe for techno, but for a lot of more breaky music, I think it's a pretty useful feature. This is driving like battering ram, Lancer's Lash, and Lasher's Wake. And then we get the Harlequin's context here, which is, I use it for LF phones, the battering ram. Let's give like do 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 do. So it's kind of emulate with a almost infinite decay. Here's the idea to have a kick and a bass tune at the same time. It's modulating the drive of the battering ram, and we can go with more distortion. So you get the basic idea of this. What we can do also with the Harlequins context is it's a concept we're developing more and more with time, and we want to end up with a system. Oh, I got a bug on my Bishop's Miscellany. I'm the specialist to have prototype version of everything, like running a beta code or something. So really sorry for that. Let's restart everything and down. Yes, it's more stable now. So the Harlequins context is our master select bus module. So what is select bus for those who may not know? It's basically MIDI, which is sent through the ribbon cable, like the power cable in the case. So this Harlequins context, I think it's now linked to the battering ram and Archer's rig. And as you can see, those two modules are reacting. So like this one. And the idea is to be able, at the end, to change the whole state of your case, because those modules rely on preset. Even the battering ram, you don't have any preset on the panel, but you can have access to preset through the select bus. So this is something I need to work on my live set. It's mainly like a selector of presets for those. But we are redoing also a fabric stroke in the future. The idea is also to have the select bus on the fabric stroke, so you could have here like instant change for the pattern and the different rhythms elements you have. Let's maybe go to the next one, which is Ballista. Oh, maybe, yeah, with the archers, one more thing. At the beginning of my set, I was using like kind of very inharmonic drones. You can use the archer's rig and bypassing the VCA and just having like a manual control of the amplitude of the signal, meaning you have like a kind of drone of high-height materials, and it sounds like a bit, why would you do that? Some sources, like the 808 source, for example, if you take it full spectrum and put like, I have a comb filter here as an effect on it. This is the tuning of my squares. This is the comb filter, and I got this control on the filter here. This send on delay and reverb. Makes pretty great drones. And you can take like almost the source.
What so did you say that's the source of the 808 hi-hat?
This is the source of the 808 hi-hat, which you use to listen it with a, like if I want to do a real 808 hi-hat, I think I need to go, yeah, let's remove you have to get one thing in the 808, like 2 squares of the hi-hat, which needs 6 squares to be done, are going to the cowbell. That's why it sounds very like cowbellish, like 808, because basically there are just 4 more squares, but you have the 2 fundamentals one, which are the one using the cowbell. If I filter it a lot, it starts to sound like a 808 hi-hat, and maybe I can give some resonance with an high pass. And there you find something which is like an 808. Now if I go full spectrum, I find back the bell, and this is a drone mode now. Let's go to let's move to the Ballista Blast now. So I have 2 of those modules. The Ballista Blast is a complete synth voice. It's also a hybrid digital analog synth voice. We have digital VCO, digital modulation sources, and analog filters, distortion, LPG, VC, and that's it. I'm running it through the Bishop's Miscellany. We'll come to it a bit later. But you know what, let's create a simple sequence here. I will just take a basic scale, like just minor triad. And let's go to a very simple preset to start here. Okay, let's say it's a good sequence. We can argue about this for hours and hours, but yeah. So we have 3 different engines. The first one is a classic engine. Think about everything you can do with saw and squares, and having an analog chain with different type of filters after, and again distortion and VCA. So the classic engine, like I said, is everything about saw and squares. So you can hear saw process to one of the filter. So you can go quickly through all the filter. We have a 2-pole low pass, 2-pole band pass, high pass, and then you have a 4-pole low pass, which were more designed to have a more acid and liquid feeling than the 2-pass, which is more like a classic silent key design. The idea with this is to add to the drum module lines kind of bass line or simple voice, which goes well into production like club music and techno, for example. And we want it very versatile. That's why, yeah, we have the classic engine. So again, let's do a small turn in there. Kind of dual, like a dual. And this potentiometer becomes like the parameter of those modes. Those two ones are like the cutoff filter. This is the resonance. Yeah, unisons. You can switch to saw and square using this button, which is like an alternative behavior of the VCO for every mode of the module. Sync, width, mix with noise, and chords. You have also an assignable envelope, which can be assigned to those 4 parameters: harmonics and phases, parameter, and pitch. And then you have the control of the envelope. And we can assign it also to the resonance, for example. Even to the parameter, maybe the chords. Let's go to the noise. So we start with noise and we end up with a... This is the saw wave. Let's move on now to the another engine, which is a wavetable engine. You keep the filters, so again, cutoff and resonance. And you have a parameter which is like the index of the wavetable. It's wave edit format wavetables. You have per bank, so per table you have 32 factory wavetables, but you can import your own. And you have this parameter act on the index, like on classic. Like wavetable thing, okay? And then you have this last engine, which is the FM engine. So the FM engine, you get rid of the filter because we found out like FM in filters, maybe it's a bit overkill, but the bonus is you gain like 3 microcontrols on every FM algorithm recreated. So the first algorithm here, for example, it's classic 2 operator with wave folder. Again, you can assign to the envelope anything you want, like I want some wave folder here. And what also we did with FM is, you know, some FM scene, you can have precise ratio. You can go from free to ratio. The thing I didn't like with the ratio is it's like very discrete control. So you just switch and tack, 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 and it's not very smooth. So we ended up creating a different philosophy for the FM algorithm, where we're gonna more like crossfade the operators together. So you have to get like almost every algorithm, it's the algorithm multiplied by 8, which is running under, just to be able to crossfade all those results. So for this very simple one, so it's when I press this, we're gonna just crossfade octaves. And if I don't in the octave crossfade, you have something which is inharmonic. It's different results. But this thing makes you sure you put something very, very harmonic each time. So we have a lot of different ones. Like this one is called the bronze algorithm. Same thing. This will crossfade between like a precise ratio. This will be more like irrational ratios, which give more like inharmonicity. But we also found out that on some architecture of FM, it was some ratio, even when it's irrational, works better than other. So we decided also to crossfade for some of the algorithm, the operators. And what's interesting is we found out like the mix sometimes where we are in between and mixing 2 different irrational operators can have also great results. So we can go a bit more into the FM. This is more like an additive thing. In harmonic. This one is with noise modulation. Actually, it's this algorithm which gives birth to the FM snare we have here. This with reverb like leads to what we call like more wooden results. And the last one now is a chord mode with two different modulators, like the amount of modulation. Like I stated before, we have also a randomizer. So maybe let's load, do we have a patch with random? No, but let's do one. Let's go to FM, for example. And let's add random a bit everywhere. You can add random to almost any parameter. Let's do a very about the envelope, you can have different shapes of envelope, like different shape of release. And you get the idea. You can have like totally random, or again, it can just be used to bring a bit of life to your presets. So yeah, because there are, like I said earlier, presets everywhere here. And we have also an expander coming out here. And what is the expander doing? It's simply another modulation voice. So it may sound. I was personally against this idea when someone in the team said, we should do an expander with an LFO. I was like, yeah, but you have many LFOs. Yeah, but with a preset. Yeah, but you can have this. Yeah, but what if you can assign it the same way as the envelope? And we have more complex LFOs than we have here. Okay, no, you got me. It's a good idea, I think. So you can have up to 2 expanders per module. And so it's adding LFO. So here, let's clear this, for example. And here, yeah. Let's make it drone. It will be more.
Francois, connecting through the select bus?
Yeah, it can be. I didn't activate it because with the kind of music I'm making, it's always a thing like with more like techno and everything merging together. I think select bus is a very great option when you want to recall a whole system. It's a great option when you have a one track, stop, another track. But if you work with select bus on a more techno approach, you have to decide which part of the system is handling it's controlling the select bus. Otherwise, when you're going to play a techno track, you're going to the next preset, and then everything goes to the next one, which is not very techno, basically. So with what we are thinking to do right now is to add in the Bishop's miscellany to have the ability to add special messages just for the Ballista Blast, because it's a good pair to have these sequencers going to the Ballista Blast. So you could say we have in the Bishop's miscellany the concept of playlist, so you can record sequences inside on the SD card, and then you can simply move to different patterns. So yeah, this one you heard it before. Maybe this one is. And you could add link to those different sequences, a special message just for the Ballista Blast. So you change the preset here, you don't have to change your preset here, and you can have 2 Ballista Blasts connected to 1 Bishop's miscellany. Yeah, so I was on the point to make drone this. You know what? Actually, it's already a bit droning. We're speaking about. So this idea to have an LFO or additional envelope. Random. This one thing is clocked as well. You have also like for example a mini sequencer, which is sequencing the cutoff filter now. And this can be assigned to different parameters, which are again those 4 parameters, or the amplitude, or an assignable to different modulation controls. Like you can modulate the envelope, the decay, the depth of the envelope, or modulate the other expander. Even do cross modulation between those 2. Last thing, we have an assignable velocity. So it was the same as a random. You take any parameter and you put an amount on it. So it's kind of a macro control, which is simple and old with a trigger the Ballista Blast is receiving. Okay. I was speaking about the Bishop's miscellany. So this module is the idea, the basic idea of this module. It's a CV gate recorder. So let's go to, for example, to 16th step. Let's take, we will use a keyboard finally. pitch and gate from the keyboard. Which one is a gate? This one is a gate. CV, am I just checking because I messed up a lot with this module. Channel to source is in 2. Yeah, okay. Cool, it works. Okay, let's take a small tempo reference. Maybe let's play it. Okay. Okay. As simple as that. You can create a line. And then you can add on top of this like what we call process. Process here, for example, now we get the gate length, but the first process, slides. Okay, let's say I want the slide here. And I can record the movement of this. I can even do. No, I got gate lengths also. Just make sure I got the ASR and not a simple AR. So instead of programming, you're playing with the module to create, to spice up your sequence, basically. So now I have this sequence, and I like the notes, I like the gates, I like the process I put in it. We got another concept, which is the region concept. And the region is either creating sequences from scratch, from different algorithms, or remangling your sequence. So now we have a sequence running. Let's maybe start with the region sync. So we have, for example, the wrenching. I have a quantizer on now. I can just transpose my sequence and give a different gain. And actually, I can re-record also what I did there. So there is a speed algorithm. I will read the sequence much faster, but still keeping the grid, so it will skip some part of the sequence. Oh, is it cool? Yeah. So I just did it on a small part of the sequence, the recording. Rate is a bit similar. You have the slice, same thing as here, you have to think it as a sampler, like different slices. You know, I'm just applying the region on the notes, not on the process sequence. That's why you still have a... So you get the ID, random slices, same with randomization. And then we got remember, which is a bit similar to the déjà vu you have in the marbles. I don't know if you're familiar with this module. So it will have certain probability to replace certain step by other steps. What I like here, and it's what I stated earlier, I like in the music I'm doing, so I'm not speaking for everyone here, and I'm not saying this is the way you should do your music. I like to have very stable things and very unstable things in the music. And I like the fact that a sequencer can provide something which is like a very precise sequence, or a sequence with a bit of shifting sometime, or a completely random sequence that I may use either like a full random material, or just to do like end of bar sense in a delay or stuff like that. And I can't really predict what's going to happen, but it's always, I set up all the presets and all the sequence or generative algorithm to be kind of in the scope of what I like and give surprise and usually give nice surprises. So you have also, like I said, different algorithm to generate. This is a simple random, you know, let's erase this and let's go, yeah, we're on 16 step sequence. On an alien scale. And I, of course, can record this. And I get the sequence. So I've different algorithms like this, like another type of random, arpeggiations, pass, which is a bit inspired by some theory on jazz musicians improvising. So I can just hold it, and give like some musical phrases with different parameters. And then I got a simple note recorder. Same thing. I can record the rhythm, right? I think that's it for the Bishop's miscellany. Last thing I'm using quite a lot is a couple of Banshee Reach and Santos Gauge, which come from they are coming from our analog subsystem. So it's our VCOs and a filter, and I'm just using it to make chaos. And I still have the fact to have some very prepared stuff and some very like I don't know what's gonna happen usually with this, but what I know is I can do like no, this one. I can do a riser. We were listening to dub earlier. I can do like kind of dub siren with it. I can go not from an LFO there, but for more like a more complex, more like harsh result. And the Banshee Reach can also be like a noise source because you can be excited by a digital noise source. So it's an analog VCO but to digital control. And one of the programmer was working on the Banshee. So yeah, maybe a bit of context. What we have a lot in all the Shakmat modules with tuning is we can freeze the chorus knob, because the worst thing you can do with a VCO when you like the 5 minutes of your first 5 minutes of your life and you just do this by mistake, and you know if you're doing a melodic live set you just down. So we had it on all those modules lock, and it's a bit sad that this potentiometer stopped working, so it became an octave switch. And while the programmer was working on this, by mistake, he did a bug in this algorithm which gave this. So actually, we should keep it. So we try to search different color of noise, which is great to excite the VCO. And you have a very shape output, so maybe it's not. Well, if you can hear it correctly. Those parameters still works a bit on those different. It's the control of the kind of noise the module is delivering. This is processed by a Santos gate, which is a couple of filters, one high pass, one low pass, and it's like configured right now. There's a large scope of filtering. It's configured right now more like a MS-20 filters. So coming from there, I got something very versatile, which can give like something a bit like. For example, this in a delay. Can give this kind of material. Can also make this self-oscillate. This is like filtering, and I forgot to like a high pitch note which I forgot to remove at a drop. Can still do like removing this way with a filter rather than with volume. And the last thing is I got a beatbox because I still loving voices in music and so on. So that's where you hear like different voices, which I usually use a lot in a delay as well. So yeah, you get the idea of the set. Tonight I will play as well with an octatrack. That's why I wasn't really prepared to play something today, because I know relying on an octatrack, which is more empty, to go quick into different tracks in a live set. But I'm still keeping like a drum machine inside the modular, because as you may know, it's a bit difficult when you have one beat playing and you want to go to another track. What do you do with the beat? So I still like also to have like the octatrack playing and at a certain point coming with this simple drum machine there. And I took this system, sampled it, and put it in the octatrack. And which is a great thing because I can have the almost exact same sound as coming in an octatrack. So if I get like this snare right at the beginning, we was doing like to ka, 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 ka. I can just redo like almost the same pattern here and just do synths with my snare in a delay. So I don't have to put the whole octatrack in there, or I can also use it simply to have like another beat coming to construct another pattern after. Questions?
What were you using for a delay?
The Strymon one, the tape algorithm on the Strymon one, yeah. I was looking for a good emulation of tape delay, and I bought this. I think for 6 months I really hated it, and finally found out to use it properly as a delay. So I think they did a great job at this.
Any plans for a Shakmat delay?
Maybe, maybe.
Battering ram's a collaboration with a software developer, and then you do the hardware. What's the process like for that, and did it turn out the way you expected? Like you said, it's got a lot of nice sweet spots.
Yep.
Is that built into the software, and you just made a nice user interface, or was there a kind of crossover between the two things?
He asked us a lot of feedback on the controls. For example, as a personal opinion, I was wanting very long decays for kick drums because I'm live making music with very long decay on kicks. The UI was the most collaborative part because on the hardware, he's not an electronician. He was like, okay, you know your stuff, just do your hardware and that's it. He wanted us to have a good feeling with what he did, so he asked us to the whole team feedback about the module. And for example, we wanted to do we are more aimed to do performance this module. Performance means hands-on, but it also means small and packed in small package with usually big versatility. So his prototype was much bigger with big knobs everywhere. So that was the idea to, how can we shrink it to 8 HP? One potentiometer has to become a small potentiometer. Which one should it be? So it was a kind of debate we had with him. We knew at that time, because we were already working on the Archer's rig, accents are great, but velocity is even better. So we wanted also velocity, which is a bit more conceptually a bit the same, but it can be a bit more complicated on the hardware and software side to deal with velocity. Yes, it was basically the things he had. He also wanted us to send it to precise beta testers, which also added ID on the side. And he also received some Shakmat modules to a bit get the philosophy of the brand. And he went to the iPass, for example. We had a simple 18 dB iPass module, which can cut signal under 30 Hz or 8 Hz. And if one day just put the kick into a 30 Hz iPass, and it removes a lot of non-hearable rumble. It gives more energy. So he asked us, oh, can you put one of you iPass? Because he's coming from the computer world, so he's not coding the same way as we're coding. Like in terms of performance, he needed also a bit of sacrifice, and because he had a lot of different EQs. And so there was even no room for the iPass filter. So that was the thing, could you iPass, analog iPass at the end of chain of the module. We were speaking, we had both the same idea about having envelope output. Yes, it's great to have the envelope output. So we proposed, can we have like an inverted output? Or maybe it's him who proposed it. We really agreed on those kind of features, but it wasn't there the first time. And we wanted to add the lock button because it's something we plan to add on every module with a precise tuning. So that's what I think that's a bit the result of the collaboration. And we had to deal with the velocity, how to deal with the amount of velocity, and those solutions we found it together here. And hello, Mark, if you're watching this video.
And so you obviously have a background in composition, production, performance. What's the rest of the team like? Is it universally all musicians, or?
There is only one person who is not a musician. It's a co-founder of Shakmat, Steve. He's a designer. He's not into electronics, not into music, but it's so helpful for the company. It's so helpful as well to have someone who has a totally different vision as someone who is like sleeping, eating, doing everything modular every day, like the rest of the team. He's not really into this, and sometimes it's good to have someone who comes with ID, which comes from totally different things than modular. You have a fresh view to, okay, you are all used to this, but is it a good thing? Or you're just all used to this? This is the kind of reflection we can have with Steve. Apart from this, Nico is doing music as well. We have Leonard, which is a breakno, is a musician, but with a totally different background. So Leonard did the algorithm for the Archer's rig. begins Bishop's Miscellany, did the code for the guy who did the mistake with the Banshee Reach and brings the noising. He's really into melodic music. He's a big fan of Messiaen, for example, which I'm not a melodic guy at all. Who else? Tanguy is more into house music, I would say. It's very diverse, and it's nice because it's confronting a lot of workflows which are based on the kind of music you're doing. I think if you're doing melodic music and love arpeggio and stuff, you're not the same as you like bass music like me. It brings like different point of view on what a module should be able to do, and that's what I think very rich with the team we have here.
And so you mentioned Steve as a co-founder.
Yeah.
How did Shakmat come about?
I did when it's a lot of spare time, like maybe 12 years ago. I just received my first modules. It was the end of a big musical project for me, and from one day to another, I had a lot of time. So I already knew, because I had a job besides this musical project at the time. When the musical project stopped, I always said to the guy managing the project, keep my money and you will give it everything after all the big tours. So I received the money and I knew I was going to buy a modular system. So I had a lot of time to practice with it and to make music. And back like 15 years ago, there wasn't much things that allows we hadn't like very performative tools back in the day. And what was really missing to me is like more the sequencing, like hands-on sequencing. So I said, yeah, actually I have an engineer background. I can do this kind of stuff. It's modular. Finally, when you're doing a module, maybe it can be deep, but it's still like one topic you're like working on. So I did the first Bishop's Miscellany, which is a CV gauge recorder, because I found really convenient to play a melody on a keyboard or to create random sequences and to be able to loop them. I never intended to have this module make twice or to build one for someone or whatever. But I played live. I was still playing live, and some people saw this in my rack, say, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a great idea. I would love to have one. Okay. Then second person tell you that. And so one day also, I broke my foot. So I did my first video on YouTube, maybe the two only video on YouTube I did as a musician. And I had the same comments of people, what's this module? I would love to have one. So at a certain time it clicked like, maybe I should do one, but I need to find a way to do a PCB because I wasn't trained to do PCBs, for example. A front panel. Oh, the hell should I find a front panel? Okay, I need to also check all the shops like Moser and so on to find potentiometers in every component. So it took a lot of time. And in this process, Steve and I were in an art collective in Brussels before. He was kind of an artistic director in the art collective. He was like the graphist. And we ended about at the time the art collective, and when we met one day, oh, what are you up to? I'm thinking maybe doing this model because people are asking, and said maybe one of my biggest dreams would be to design technical stuff, like technological stuff, because he's more like a graphic designer. So what was his job at the time? And I say, yeah, okay, let's go into this together. And it was also very helpful because the first production we thought about making 10 models because there was maybe those 3-4 persons who maybe said they were gonna buy 2 people on the internet. 10 models, 10 units would be this thing, and it was just a trip with a friend to learn to industrialize. I do big quotes around industrialize because it's very. It was still soldering in my cellar, basically, And from, I think in 1 month we went to. I was randomly going to Berlin. I went to Schneider and I said, oh, maybe I should bring a prototype. Say, yeah, it's nice. We will distribute you. We will take 20 of them. I was just making 10. Okay, we will make 30 modules. And then after a first pre-release video, shop in the state contacting us, we want to be your distributor in the state. We want 100. What the fuck? 100 really? There's really interest in what I did. And so we ended up doing not 10 modules, but 200 modules by hand in a very short time. So that's why also I was very happy. Steve was there around to, okay, let's do this. Let's go. Let's spend days in the cellar just soldering stuff together. And yeah, that's how it started, and that's how Steve found his place in the team very quickly. I mean, the team was just the two of us at the time, but that's also he learned a bit what it was about to create a module and production and retailing and all that stuff.
Who comes up with the names for the module?
Me. Right. Yeah. Sorry for that.
Interesting name. Why Bishop?
No, it's a big. At the time, I have a sole project which was called Bishop Dust. And when it was my first module, I called it, it's my module, I should call Bishop something. And miscellany, because it's a common word for you, miscellany, what it is? Yeah. So it's where you write your song in a book, basically. So CV recorder, you write a song in a book. It makes sense, it's a bit poetical. I like it. And I did for the modules, it was a night. And it was a clock-a-pound, 4 weeks rook. What do you do after? Because it was all about chess. Because my musical project was about chess. And by the way, Shakmat is the original word which lead to checkmate when you think about it. So I don't want to be too... as far as I remember, there is a Shah, like a Shah in Iran. It's a king, and Kmat means dead. The Arabs still checkmate is a word for chessmate in Arab. So it's the original word for the chess. And it literally means when you win the chess game, your king is dead.
Mm-hmm. So they're all chess?
Yes, but once you did like the rook, the knight, the bishops, the pawn, it's very pretentious to have a king and a queen. So what do? We found out there were alternate chess somewhere in the world where there was a wizard and an harlequin's context, which led to the harlequin's context. And after that, we just started to say, what could be in an imaginary chess world a nice piece of chess? That's why it's all related a bit medieval and from some series like for all the drums and the Ballista Blast, we went for weapons. If we're doing effect, we already know we want this kind of names, and that's how we ended up with all those crazy names. We still try to figure out if it was a good thing or not. Some people really loved it, and some people hate it, much prefer like, no, you should call your module number 3017, which I don't know.
They're definitely memorable. They stand.
Yeah, I think the only downside, it's not very obvious. I mean, if you're doing a module called frequency shifter, you know what it is, right? When you're doing, I don't know, like the archesbury could be...
Diagram's quite close, that's fine.
Yeah, it was Mark ID, and the only one who broke the rule of our modules. Because there's a big rule in the way modular name. I won't go into that right now because it's very long, and as Nico can say, it's... we always, this year was cool, like to find the new names for the new models who will be at Super Boost. We had like an ID bomb. So sometimes it's like months of a WhatsApp group with everyone getting crazy at different names. And well, I really hate your name, okay. But just finishing by finding names for everything. Yeah. I don't know how much time we still have.
It is 8 o'clock. That's an hour. Yeah.
That's an hour?
Yeah.
As we have to move, let's call it a call, or let's...
Yeah.
Yeah?
You have to get to it. Could you get it? It was laughing.
Yeah, I need to check at the log. Maybe I can take a couple of other questions if you want, or...
It's a quick one. Very impressive. The 4 discrete drum modules you have you given any thought to combining them into a single module for some other companies have done?
The kicks and snares, yeah, at like those... no, because first it's modular.
Yes, bigger one.
A bigger module.
Or it's the drum machine.
Alex already told me that. Shakmat, if you go standalone, the first thing you should do is the drum machine. Yeah, it's a thing we should think about. We won't do a big module with everything inside, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I think it makes sense because the first thing we did is like drum sequencing.
Zero day, drop sequencing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the way my mind works is that, okay, I want these 4 modules. That's 4 separate purchases, and
yeah,
makes one easier. One drum machine, one drum.
See, this is what it's about now.
We don't rehearse the
What did the restaurant?
No, it's something in our mind to go one day to standalone and drum machine. As we have the technology for drum machines all over the place, it's one of the ideas. When we will go standalone, drum machine will be definitively be taking into account on what the project we can do. But it's still a huge project, like a drum machine.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Let's hurry up with that.
Noted.
I can know you built-in delay of the drum machine.
Yes, of course. If you do a drum machine, we will have the delay before, so we will have a delay in a drum machine. Yes. A last question for someone?
And you got all the preset functionality. How do you deal with that with the knobs? Like if you load a new preset?
You have different modes. So you can go to Ballista Blast to choose between a jump or a catch. Okay. And if you go to catch, you can also activate the display thing. So let's load a preset and look at what we do. It will tell you if you have to turn up. Okay, I catched it. So yeah, it's both way are understandable. So that's the downside to have a team with a lot of different workflows, as we have to put a lot of options so everyone is happy. But I think it's the same for everyone. Everyone got a different workflow. So it's one thing good having all those different workflows. Check, but I will just do that because I'm not used to and I don't want tonight to have problems. Thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it.